Hi, my name is Ashley King, and I'm with Ashley'sBrideGuide.com. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Amy of Crye Leike in Photo Booth Nashville to tell you all about buying your first home or buying your second home or whatever your plans are as you are preparing to plan your wedding and merge your lives together. This is very important. I know that because I work with so many brides and grooms, there's so many couples that are in the process of trying to figure this thing out. Should they buy together? Should they wait until they've been married for a while? So my friend Amy, we met through Photo Booth Nashville, which is her company, but she is also a realtor with Crye Leike. So I have her on today to answer all of your questions. I've received a few questions from the bridal community that she will answer, and hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll have all the information that you need to make your decision, or you can contact Amy to get more insight. So hi, Amy.
Hi.
How are you?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm great. You look great over there.
Thank you.
I would buy you a virtual drink, so I owe you one. So we're going to just jump right into this because I know that you have always been great with Nashville brides, serving them from the Photo Booth Nashville perspective, but you are a realtor and you have a soft spot for newlyweds and engaged couples. So tell me a little bit about how you got into this, why this is important to you.
Well, basically, as you said, I own Photo Booth Nashville, and we were the first to start that trend. And in the last 4 or 5 years that we've had that business, I started learning not only from my personal experience of buying a home as a new bride while I was planning my wedding, but also in the brides that I've worked with and met through Photo Booth Nashville. I found what a great need there is to start helping, not only to obviously help them buy and sell their homes as they walk down this part of the process, but also to help educate and guide them a little bit more, because buying a home in general is so stressful as it is, no matter what situation you're in your life. But when you're trying to do that prior to planning a wedding or during the process of planning a wedding or trying to close right after you get married, it just becomes really stressful. And I've met so many awesome realtors over the years, particularly here lately since I've joined the team of Crye Leike Realtors in Smyrna, but none of them really focus on this. And I found a real need to fill this void, more so than anything, again, because of my passion to help the brides.
And it's so important because it seems like every couple that I know, they are either just buying a house, at the same time that they're planning their wedding, they're closing 2 weeks before the wedding or right after. I mean, it's amazing. And considering I've been married and I've also purchased a home, I can't imagine doing that at the exact same time because to your point, they can both be stressful experiences. But that's the reality that a lot of couples want to start together. They don't want to, move into his house or move into her house or stay with parents. They really want. This is symbolic of their new start. So it's just a given. A lot of them, this is very important to them.
Well, and they don't want to deal with all of that craziness after the wedding.
Absolutely.
They want that part to be over, so when they walk through the threshold, over the threshold, and they come through the door after it's all said and done, and they come home from their honeymoon, they're coming home to their new home and their new huge part of the journey.
Absolutely.
I know for me as a bride, we went through the whole process. I was blending a family. My husband had a child from a previous marriage. He also owned a home. It was going to be my first new home, and I was really excited. But it was very stressful because in addition to planning the wedding and blending a family, which are the two hardest things ever anyway,
yes.
We decided to buy a brand new home and start a new chapter for our family all together. And we actually moved into our new home 2 weeks, like you said.
Yeah.
2 weeks before our big day.
Yeah.
So I know how stressful it can be.
So do you think that couples should, obviously it's something that they want, but what do you recommend based on understanding the wedding planning process as well as being a realtor? What are your recommendations? Should they embark on this at the same time?
Well, buying a house first and foremost is such a huge personal and financial decision. Then when you throw in the whole side of getting married and planning that wedding, it not only becomes a huge personal and financial decision, but it becomes a very, very intense emotional decision as well. I think it's really important to know that every situation is different. It's important to be honest when looking at yourself and your partner in the mirror when you're making this decision. Don't live in the fantasy world. A lot of people make the mistake of this big fantasy picture that they want. Just like brides often think they have to have everything to have that date perfect, or it has to be just so to have it be that picture perfect way they've been planning since they were a little girl. Sometimes this is a huge part that's tied into that. And it's important to be honest and realistic with yourself. Financially, are you in the right place to do this? How long have you been with your mate that you're getting ready to make that big walk down the aisle with? Have you been together for 5 days? Have you been together for 5 months? Have you been together for 5 years?
Absolutely.
You know, are you 22 or are you 35? Those are all huge decisions. And it's very important for people just to be really honest with themselves. And of course, more than anything, the financial part is a huge part in making the decision. You need to find good mortgage companies, and a lot of times people will go traditionally to their bank, say Bank of America. Well, we've seen what happened with all of that. So a lot of times it's better to find a lender. Like, for example, I know through Crye Leike, we actually have a dedicated lending company that can do your mortgages, and that's all they focus on. So they're experts in that field. They're called Magna Bank. But there's several different companies at different agencies, but also within different banks, they'll have specialized, firms under their umbrella of their company. And I think it's important to really research it and to know all that, because there's so many pieces that comes into it. It's not a decision to make quickly or to take lightly.
And the funny thing is, because I talk to a lot of brides, I'm amazed that some brides are even considering buying homes, really, because they're not even talking about their wedding budgets. They're not even comfortable having those conversations. So to your point, you have to be honest, you have to be realistic, you have to have real conversations about money from every vantage point, and not just the wedding and not just the home, but every aspect. And if you're not comfortable having that, then you shouldn't be talking about a home. You should really get into the money. And some couples are there and some aren't. So it's really important to know your specific situation.
And if you're not there, actually, if you can honestly say, or in your heart of hearts, maybe you talk differently with your partner, but in your heart of heart, you know where you're at.
Yeah.
And you have to dig deep and be honest with yourself. And at that point, it's okay to just go get a new apartment.
Yeah.
If that's where you're at.
Yeah.
Go get a brand new apartment, and you can still have that new space, but be honest with yourself. The other area it's important to be honest with yourself. Don't look at your budget when you're budgeting, for how much you make and all that. Granted, the bank is going to force you, whoever your lending company is going to force you to be honest with those numbers.
That's true.
But you need to be honest with the numbers, because sometimes people will get approved for a lot more than they realistically will be, it's comfortable for them considering their spending habits. Because the bank doesn't necessarily know their spending habits on a day-to-day. Do they go out to eat every day, or are they okay with going out to eat once a month?
Right.